Let me know when you give me the green light. Green light. Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you to the February meeting of the Town of Ocean Ridge. Kelly, would you call the roll, please?
Sure can. Commissioner Hutchins,
Here.
Commissioner Ayala,
Here.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Here.
Vice Mayor Cause,
Here.
and Mayor Pugh.
Here. All right, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Before we begin, I'd like to point out the seal, the Town of Ocean Ridge. That has been part of this town when it was we had the old town hall, and it was above the dais at that time. I'd like to thank Starbright and Stella. Stella, you're around here somewhere? Oh, there she is. For that, and also all the artwork. It really brightens the whole room. And thank you so much, Stella. I really appreciate it. But yeah, that's very, very impressive. Finally came back around. All right. Any additions, deletions, and modifications to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I have representatives for 6273 North Ocean who are here. If it be the pleasure of the commission, I'd like to have them comment after public comment so we can hear an update on the status of that project.
Okay.
And I would just like to give a brief update during commissioner comments about legislative action days in Tallahassee that I attended last week.
And on the approval of consent agenda, do you want me to mention that I need a change there or do it now?
Do it now.
Okay, so security cameras and door entry systems upgrade, it does not need to be pulled onto the regular agenda, but I will like that as a discussion point at the end of the meeting.
All right, so we'll move that to commissioner comments as well.
Yep.
So on the consent agenda, that would be number 7 to the consent agenda. I mean, to the commissioner comments.
And number 6 also.
And we move number 6, which is the authorization of transfer of funds. So,
But are you still wanting them to be approved under consent agenda and a discussion under comments?
Number 7 can be approved, but I think NARS needs to be moved to the regular agenda, right?
well, we can,
Because, yeah, we have to talk about the number. It's not clear in number 6 how much we would be transferring.
how about this? Hold on a second, hold on. We'll take those out of the consent agenda, move them to, let's move that one, instead of down to commissioner comments, let's move them to number 10 and 11 in the regular agenda items so they can be voted on. All right?
Perfect.
So we'll do yours first, number 7.
Mine isn't really a vote situation, that's all.
Well, we got to vote on it, so number 7, and then we'll do, Ainer will do number 6 after that. So that'd be 9,
A and
10
B.
would be you, and 11 would be Ainer's, number 6.
I think you gotta do A and Bs.
What happened?
You gotta do A and Bs, otherwise 10, 11, 12 follows.
All right. Anything else? Ready to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, presentations and proclamations. Palm Beach County School Board Member Erica Whitfield, State of the Educational Report.
Good evening,
Welcome.
everyone. Hi, my name is Erica Whitfield. I am your school board member for the last 9 years here in Ocean Ridge. I realize you don't have any schools, but I feel it's really important that I come every year and really just talk to you all about your schools and really be available for any questions. My goal is to just have an open line of communication so that you know I am here to represent you and everyone in this town, and if you have any questions or concerns. So I'll just talk to you briefly about some of the things that I think are important. I've also put a little update. We are in legislative session right now in Tallahassee, as you mentioned, and so this is the priorities that the school board put together in November. So some of them, kind of shift a little bit in that time, but in general, they're right where where our priorities are. Things that I really want to talk to you a little bit about. Recently, we had a grade given to us by the state of Florida. So we have been an A-graded school district for a very long time, and now we are a B, and so it was very traumatic for all of us to be in that state. It's it was a little frustrating because the reality was that our scores actually went up, but also the state raised the level of what is considered an A rating. So while you are hearing that news about us being a B district now, keep in mind that we were a 61%, and we actually went up to 63%, but the score required was 64%, so we're missing it by just a tiny bit. So I imagine that we are going to get that back next year. So I'm really anticipating that that's what's going to happen. One of the reasons that we took a little bit of a hit with the scores is because the state came up with a new test this past year. And so one of the things that we usually can bank on are things called learning gains. So learning gains mean you take a student who's at a lower level and you have them go up to a higher level. And so that's the goal of any school and every education system on the planet, is to teach people things, right, to move them up. We are lucky some children come in and they're just brilliant and they do really, really well and continue that. We don't get gains if you're already high and you stay high. You don't get a gain for that, just for bringing the lower children up. So because it was a baseline year with a new test, there is no gain, right? So you don't have the ability to get those points. It's just a baseline. So we just get how everybody's doing in the county. And then next year we'll have a baseline score of this past year to go off of, and then we'll be able to count gains on that. So this year the state of Florida said, even though they gave us a grade, it doesn't count because we are a baseline year. So this is all coming from our Department of Education at the state level. Why do I bring this up to you all? Well, one of the things that I think is the most important and is on your state legislative priorities, and what I went to Tallahassee to argue for, was extended VPK. So VPK is our voluntary preschool program. It is a state-run program. It is paid for 3 hours a day from the state, and then the rest of the day is paid for by a parent or by some different organizations in our community, like the Children's Services Council has some funds that we pay into through our tax dollars to pay for those students to stay for a longer day. I think it's crucially important as a parent of a 3-year-old and a 16-year-old that has gone through the VPK system that children get into care early. Both daughters started at 2 years old into pre-K, and I think it was wonderful because they get that opportunity to sit, raise their hand, learn how to go to the bathroom, interact with their peers, listen to a teacher, and then the real basics of learning that we're hoping that they learn: letters, numbers, how the letter sounds, how letters turn into sounds, how numbers can be basically, used to count things, basic information that if a student can come into school on that very first day of kindergarten knowing these things, they will be set up for success. So we do a test in that first week of school, 2 weeks of school. It's called the Flickers test. It's a Florida Education Readiness Screener. And that screener is given to every student, no matter if they've ever sat in a classroom before or not. And they sit down on a computer and they do this test, and we get a score to see whether or not they're considered ready for kindergarten. That score depends wildly on what has happened to a child before. So if they're in a very wealthy community, their parents are college educated, they've been working with them at home on letters and numbers, or they've attended a quality preschool, those things will be seen on this test. If they have been in a community where they may have been in like a daycare situation where they're not actually getting any education, they're just being taken care of, you will see that as well. So in our lower income communities, you're going to see some of our scores are like 15% of the kids ready for kindergarten, whereas you go into a higher income community and it'll be 80%, 90% ready for kindergarten. So the difference is when a student starts at that lower level, the teacher has to spend all this time catching them up to where they should be before they can even start teaching them. So we're taking them from below the standard to get them up to standard, and then you have to grow them from there. And the goal is, in every year, when you're teaching someone, that they get a year's worth of education. So in first grade, you should be able to get all your first grade education done so that when you start second grade, you're ready to go for second grade. If a student starts in first grade, but they only have a kindergarten education so far because they didn't get that much, now they're a year behind, plus they still have that year to do. So now we're talking about 2 years of education that a teacher has to do in order to get a student just to the middle, just to the standard. So to me, that is one of our biggest opportunities for growth here in Palm Beach County, is to make sure that every child that shows up on the first day of kindergarten has the ability to be ready to start the day and start their school year and their education. So in Palm Beach County, we have done a lot to prepare our students and really focus on these scores and how we get them ready for kindergarten. In Palm Beach County and really the state of Florida, there's not
a lot of public education preschools. There are about, they're mostly private. So they're overseen by the Early Learning Coalition at the state of Florida. And then we have our own Early Learning Coalition here in Palm Beach County that I served on a few years ago. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold today. So we had a partnership with them where we worked to try to see how we could better partner with our private pre-Ks as they're coming into the public system, because we want to make sure that every student has the ability to succeed. And we realized that the connection between the two wasn't very strong, so we worked to build that up. So hopefully, the plan is that every preschool now knows the elementary school that they're going to, and they're in communication with the staff over at that kindergarten so that they know where the children are going and what they need to learn. Because many preschool teachers have told us that they would very much like to get the kids ready for school, but they didn't know what it was that they needed to learn. So sharing that information, working with the Early Learning Coalition, who works very heavily on quality in preschools, and evaluating to make sure that they have all the education that they need as teachers to teach the students. So that's been one thing we've done. We also purchased something called the Kindergarten Readiness Kit. So they are little boxes. I managed to score one for my 3-year-old so I could see how they worked. It took months and months, believe it or not, but I finally got them. And once I was able to do it, I could take it apart and see there were letters and numbers and like little preschool practice sheets, things like that. So I sat down with her and I tried to do it, and we found out that she's not ready for kindergarten at all. But she's 3, so we have some time. But working through that, it is something that we give to every person who shows up for kindergarten now. They get to go home, and we do our kindergarten kickoffs in April, and this is a request I have for you all, just so you know. But we do our kindergarten kickoffs in April, and we want our students, when they come in April, to be ready to go to school in August, and so they have access to do VPK even during the summer through the Early Learning Coalition, so we're very grateful for that. And they can do a condensed summer program to get them ready. Or the parents can work with them with these kindergarten kits and other resources that we have available. We've actually put a bunch of things on the website to really make that accessible for our parents so that they can go on in 3 different languages and watch videos from quality teachers teaching them how to educate their students, so we can be engaged with parents in that way. So since we did this kickoff, we've done it 1 year now. We actually were able to raise our Flickr scores 3%, so I know this is something we're going to continue to do. We're very proud of that little increase, but I think this is really what is going to make the difference for our students. When you look at our reading scores across the county, we're one of the best in the state. We're actually the best for graduation in Urban 7, which is like the ones we compare ourselves to, the Urban 7 districts, so like Broward, Miami-Dade, Hillsborough, those ones. When you look, we have the best graduation rate. We're one of the highest reading scores in the state, but really we're only separated by a few points from everyone. And it's about 50 to 55, occasionally 57% of our kids at any given year in the kindergarten through 10th grade that we're scoring that are able to read on grade level. So if you think about that, that's 1 in every other kid is not able to read on grade level. So we have to do something large, and I think this is the next step. So what I've been doing is really pushing this among the community to really talk about how we can focus more on getting our kids into early learning, tell people that it's a wonderful thing to be in a quality program, work with that Early Learning Coalition. And I went to the state and I asked them if they would hopefully pay for additional funding to be able to extend the day. So rather than give just 3 hours, hopefully they will extend that. I've heard rumors that they're thinking about going up 1 hour. It is very expensive to do. And my child's actually going into VPK next year, so I would love it if we saved a little bit more money on that. But for some of our families, it's just impossible to drop your kid off at 9 and pick them up at 12. They have jobs they have to go to. So there has to be a way for us to keep those kids in a safe, quality environment for the majority of the day. So let me just say, so that was one of the things that I think is really important. One of the other things I really want to talk about, though, is the vouchers that came through this past year. You guys all know about the vouchers. So last year, the government, the legislature of Florida decided to give out funding. So any of the funding that we get as the state of Florida that comes in to pay for our students, it actually, you can take those funds and take them to a private school now. So we get about $8,000 a year to educate all the students in Palm Beach County. We get it on a per student basis. Now the legislature has given those funds if a parent wants to take it to the private school and pay for those funds. Now, a private school is probably going to be more like $35,000 a year, but it does take a little bit of that burden off of the parents, so it gives them their public funds to go there. This past year, one of the things that really was wonderful for us was that the governor actually allocated $400 million to that fund to pay for those vouchers. So when somebody does go over to the private schools, what they're doing is they're pulling from that fund and not from the public school budget, which is a godsend for us. So we didn't feel really a hit at all because of these vouchers last year. But if every student who's in private school in the state of Florida decides to go and take this voucher funding, and not every private school accepts it yet, so I think we'll see that grow over time. The hit to the state budget would actually be $4 billion a year. So we are encouraging the governor and legislators to continue to expand that pot and hold us harmless for the voucher expansion program. And in good news for Palm Beach County, we actually, I don't know if you guys watched the news yesterday, but Broward is considering closing schools. They're actually losing students. We actually gained students last year. We got an additional 1,000. So even while students had this option to go to private schools, we held very strong as a county, and so we're very proud of that. We didn't really see a lot of kids going to private schools. The ones who took the vouchers were already in private schools. So having that happen was really a great feeling for us to know that we're providing the service that the families want in Palm Beach County. Obviously, it creates more of an incentive for us to continue to grow and do better so that parents will want their children to go to Palm Beach County schools. Okay, so there's that request of the state. And then, let's see, I know I've talked a lot. Let me try to slow down and just cover anything else that's really important. Okay, the last thing I'll mention is safety and security. The state does give us some funds for safety and security, and we're grateful for it, but most of the funds for our safety and security in Palm Beach County come from the referendum that you all approved many years back, a couple of times now, which we're so grateful for. But we are always asking the state if they will continue to fund safety and security, because post Stoneman Douglas, we have had so much put onto the system to really try to protect our students. So we've added things like we're adding metal detectors this year. That's a new thing to really make sure that people can, feel safe coming in. It's just an added layer. It's like I always say it's like the Kohl's, not like the TSA, like when you walk in. So it's like really easy to walk through. It's not as sensitive. We can set the sensitivity, but it doesn't have that metal detector feel to it, I don't think. It's a little bit less than that. We've also done things like additional hardening of the facilities, making sure that everyone's getting one point of entry, making sure that there's only one way to get in, and we can really watch who's coming in and out of our place. We've done a lot around that, but it's been very expensive. So we put that on our list of things that we would like the state to help us with. I don't know if there's any hope for it, but maybe if they see how many more things we're doing, they might add to it. But I will stop there. I think I've talked enough about my favorite things on the state legislative priorities. But if you all have any questions, I've given you all of this. I'm happy to take questions now if there's any burning issues around education that you are concerned about. Please go ahead.
Any questions for Ms. Whitfield? Thank you so much for coming tonight.
you. Thank you all
Thank you
so
for your
much. I really
presentation.
appreciate it. I'm sorry to have a little bit of a frog in my throat today, but I appreciate your time.
Well, you made it all the way through.
Thank you. Luckily, you have your clerk Avery gave me some water, so I appreciate it. If you all ever have any questions, or anyone in the town of Ocean Ridge ever does, please contact me. My face is on the website of the school board, and we want to make sure everybody loves their schools and that we're providing the service that everybody needs here in Palm Beach County. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Scott, I believe you're up.
Everybody, this is Officer Sassoff. I just wanted to let everybody know what a great job he's been doing. We want to express our appreciation for your hard work and dedication to the department, but your proactive policing has been invaluable to the safety and security of the town. Specifically, I want to recognize you for your outstanding work during your assigned shift over the past year. You have stopped close to 500 cars on the night shift. You've issued 281 written warnings, 133 traffic citations, and made 20 arrests. This activity has exceeded expectations. Your proactive policing has instrumentally just stopped a car this weekend, stolen car, 3 o'clock in the morning, stopped it and recovered it. Just let you know. Criminals are not going away. Our night shift has been stopping and chasing cars weekly off the island. I think people are, we do have a reduction in crime right now. I think the residents are our advice locking their cars. We have advancements in our license plate readers and proactive policing like Officer Southsoft is helping us a lot. So I think it's a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. All right, Kelly, you want to go to the announcements?
Okay. The meeting schedule for the next month is as follows. The regular Town Commission meeting on Monday, March 4th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Planning and zoning meeting on Tuesday, February 20th at 9 a.m. The Board of Adjustment / Infrastructure Surtax Oversight Committee meeting is on Wednesday, February 21st at 9 a.m. There will be a special committee stands hearing on Tuesday, February 20th at 10 a.m. The joint meeting of the Town Commission and Planning and Zoning Commission will be held on April 8th at 10 a.m. All meetings will be held in the Commission chambers at the Town Hall. Town Hall will be closed Monday, February 19th, 2024, in observance of the President's Day holiday. The annual municipal election will be held on March 19th. There are 2 Town Commission seats open for a 3-year term and 1 Town Commission seat open for a 2-year term. Qualified candidates appearing on the ballot are Jeff Pugh, Nicholas Arsali, David Hutchins, and Anir Ayala. Sorry. Okay, residents who wish to sign up to receive important town notifications and news through the Civic Ready should sign up on the town's website or call Town Hall for assistance. And I do have one more announcement. We just confirmed that the annual shred event will be April 13th.
All right, thank you so much. All right, now we're moving on to public comment.
Did Christie want to start?
No, we'll do that after the public.
Yes.
You sure?
Come on, Terry.
Terry Brown, Harvard Eye South. I just wanted to go back to Mr. Wolf's suggestion last month about the town commission issuing a non-discrimination resolution. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And no one responded enthusiastic about it and said that was a good idea and we could refer it to the attorney. So maybe somebody's working on it in the back room. I really think it's a good idea to do that, and I think that you could tie it directly to the Ocean Ridge mission statement. And I'm assuming that everybody has read the mission statement. In fact, you were involved when they were developing the language. One sentence, it took forever to develop. But it does say that we're looking for a diverse seaside community. And that's been the mission statement since at least 2009. And, you know, in our neighborhood alone, we have a very diverse population. We have people from Russia, people from Venezuela, German people, some Lebanese background people, people from Romania. We have Christian, we have Jews, and at least one known atheist. But so I really think that you could do a non-discrimination resolution tying it to the value system, which is what the mission statement says, that we want a diverse population, we want a diverse community, we want people to live together without fear. And so I think Christie's probably done some of these in the past. They're one page, and it's not enforceable, but it's a statement about values. And I wish you would consider it.
So, Terry, I can help you out here. Lynn and Christie have been working on one. They were trying to get it finalized for this meeting.
So it wasn't
It
finalized.
covers exactly.
So you were working on it in the back room.
They were,
Well,
but they came this close, so it'll
Okay.
definitely be in
one of the
March.
things that you need to include, in my opinion, is that to demonstrate to the public, the leaders of this community, there is such a thing as good bias. And the good bias is against suspicion, intolerance, hate, religion, and racial bigotry. So if you could include something like that in the language so that people know that we're a great community and we don't hate each other, even though we have instances of certain things happening. Thank you very much.
Terry. Stella?
Stella Kolb, 204 Beachway, and going on Terry's great community, I would like to let everyone know that Starbright is doing a ice cream social for the whole town on President's Day when the town is closed. Last year we did it for the first time and we had 80 residents come. I would encourage every commissioner and officers who are in town to please come and have a free ice cream on us. Starbright is doing many good things. Among the art, all of the walls will be covered, and they're only from Ocean Ridge resident artists, and they will be sold. We're just having a little time getting them all together. So please join us for that. Thank you very much. This really is a great little town.
Thank you.
You don't have to paint the walls. You don't have to paint the walls.
No. Betty?
Betty Bingham, 1 East Ocean Avenue. I have a request that the commission make rules and regulations as to where people can put their clippings when they cut the fronds. There are places that the planting has been completely pulled out of the ground, and we have good mud baths. And if they don't put it on their driveway or the apron when they come with the claw, they pull the bushes up. And if any of you all are willing to walk, you can walk Ocean Avenue. It's a good example. But all of this is also on A1A where they put it on the grass. And I hate to have the poor people in Ocean Ridge have to pay to replant it when it's someone else's fault. That's number one. Number two, I've heard that they're thinking about trying to widen some roads. I would like to advise the commission that the sidewalk is on my property. And if you don't think so, look at the back of the pole, the cement around the pole. Mother would not give the electric company permission to put it on our property. So they had to cut the back of it off. But the pin that shows where the property line is, and the reason Mother wouldn't give it to the town was just so they couldn't widen Ocean Avenue, A1A.
Thank you, Betty. Lynn, would you look into that, though, about the claw and the pulling out the plants and the planters?
I can, yes.
I did go walk around with Betty one day and took some pictures, and people do put their clippings right on top of live plants and grass on the right-of-way, which is exactly what she's talking about.
Ron?
Hi, I'm Ron Kern. I live at 5510 North Ocean. I want to thank the commission and specifically Commissioner Cassidy for reading the letter that I sent for the November commission meeting. That letter, okay, was, I would have been here for it, but I got a foot injury that's still recovering from. So the reason why I wrote that letter was to get a wider attention, okay, to the plight that we have and the danger, okay, that if our south well would fail, what that would mean to the 500 residents that we have here. The good news is that was also picked up by the Coastal Star, which gave it a much wider vision to people. That it may or may not be a coincidence, but last week we got a letter from the DEP giving us what's called a preliminary, or basically a permit that has to be completely read over, but it's the first step in getting a final permit. This permit is full of a lot of work just to get to a point where we can move to the next step. For example, it's a boilerplate permit, and therefore it covers everything from Class 1 wells to Class 6 wells. Class 1 would be like Boynton Beach, which is a 3,000 deep well, where ours is a Class 5 well. So you have to go in and strip all that out, because if you try to get a permit where it's got some of those hooks in it, you could be responsible for making it happen. So we have to do that first. Once that's done, then we have to put it in the paper for 30 days and for public comment to Tallahassee. There being none, then after that, they will write a letter of intent, okay, to issue a permit. That one has to go through legal review again, and at that point in time, we have to put it in the paper again for another 15 days, in which case then, if there is none, then they have somewhere between 30 and 60 days to issue the final permit. So even though this is good news, and it really means that they're going to issue it, unless they had some public comment that would torpedo it, this is good news. Our angst doesn't go away, because that means if you do some math on the dates, we wouldn't be drilling till sometime, the best would be July. August is a possibility, but it could run as late as September. So with God's help, we will hope that the south well continues to work as nicely as it has, and right now it does. And then in the meantime, we have two things going. One, we have Plan B that we're working on, because if that well fails, okay, I have to come up with something that we don't have to abandon the communities, okay, or at least something that doesn't cost $180,000 a month to remove that kind of water. So we're working on something just in case. What we're also going to do is that we're out now getting bids for the well. This delay of a year, the well, last time we had a well driller give us a number, was 100,000, and now it's up to 162,000. So we can see that the next step's going to be expensive for the community, and we're hoping, okay, that what will happen is that we can move on, and come September, when we come back, when the people come back in the next season, November, that they will be they'll be able to enjoy themselves without having to worry about abandoning their homes. I appreciate your help. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the work on it.
Yeah, thanks for your persistence.
Anyone else? Any other public comment? That's just one time for you, Terry? All right, so we'll hear from 6273 folks.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just as background, as you may recall, we entered an agreement with them previously to extend the town's duration of construction, which was going to expire in July of last year. The commission agreed to an extension and provided me some terms and conditions to do an amendment with them to extend that agreement. I provided the amendment to Stanley Price, their attorney who's here. Mr. Price kept me informed as to the status of the work. It looked like we might have been able to make the project complete this last year. And as you may recall, the terms that the commission approved would include, if it extended past 2023 completion date, it would include a $50,000 payment in lieu of taxes that would have been earned if it had been completed in 2023. It also included an amendment that would give them till February 15th, otherwise liquidated damages would kick in. Mr. Price kept me informed, and as we got towards the end of the year, I told we need to have the signed amendment. They signed the amendment, but he did change the provision regarding liquidated damages to give them an additional an additional month to May 15th. At the timing, I should have brought that back to the commission and had you guys look at that and hear from them. However, I went ahead and signed it based on what Mr. Price represented to me as the continued delay with their water. So I asked them to come here tonight to explain to what Mr. Price has been keeping me updated on, and the belief that that additional 30 days would be valid in the force majeure provision because it was something outside their control.
Sir?
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission. My name is Stanley Price. I'm with the law firm of Bills and Sundberg in Miami. I am a semi-retired attorney, and this is my major case at the moment. When I stood in front of this body almost a year ago, they, at the end of the hearing, says, give us an outside date. And the date that I gave you at that time was March 15th. As you're aware, there's a force majeure provision in the contract. We were not able to obtain electricity to this property until the end of December. Last week, we received the water meter for the property. We fully intend to meet that March 15th date. All the condition precedents, such as the $50,000 payment, has been made to the town. We are called for inspection and a schedule for this Wednesday, seeking the necessary approvals from the building official on how to proceed with the TCO and the CO for the home. It is our full intention that we will meet that criteria. In addition, the town attorney questioned the lack of landscaping in the front of the house. We had the landscaping in front of the house, and because we weren't serviced with water, we had a 1-inch line. The plants that we planted have died. Those will be replaced in the next few weeks, well before the March 15th date. I have the contractor here to answer any questions you may have, but we have lived up to the terms of the agreement. We fully intend to do that. And I think we've been rowing in the same direction, which has been beneficial for everyone. And we fully intend to meet our obligations to the town.
Okay.
There's a cash bond sitting there of about $350,000, I believe. And if we, for any reason, don't meet it, you have your remedies under the agreement. But we fully intend to meet it.
Any questions?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, the reason we're here, had it here tonight is because the condition precedent, additional condition precedent that we agreed to was February 15th, and then that was extended to March 15th. And that was not a formal decision by the commission.
The reason for the additional month was when I sat here and we discussed the dates last year, we fully intended, because of the permitting to cross A1A, we needed federal permits to jack and bore under the road. And from the schedules that all the utilities gave us was going to be October or November. As it turned out, it was the end of December, excuse me. And with the electrical, that required us to go check all the lines within the home for air conditioning. We have, as you see, the utility has now put in a transformer, an ugly transformer in front of our home
Yeah.
because,
Can I ask a question about that?
yes.
Is it in that place, did FPNL dictate that it had to be right there in the middle?
We had no other real estate to put it anywhere else. The propane tank's a little bit to the south.
Okay.
East of it, and all the exfiltration systems and tanks in the front, underneath the driveway is all exfiltration.
Okay. So how is that going to be screened?
So part of the new landscaping is to put bushes similar to across the road that are 10, 15 feet high, cover the whole front wall of the house.
Okay.
Everyone, it's just covered. But the height of the pad is also the new FEMA regulation. Any home, anywhere that's near the water is gonna have that 24-inch pad.
And just want to say, the cooperation with the town manager and the town attorney have been fabulous. It's helped us to meet these goals, and I fully intend to have this in front of you on March 15th with a fully occupied home.
Excuse me, are the,
And then when's the welcome to the neighborhood party?
We have a 400-piece band that's going on the roof.
No,
are the plantings that are gonna go in, are they gonna be mature plantings? Or, you know, they'll be,
What's across the street, they'll be 3 to 4 feet, and they grow.
Like a clusia?
There's an approved landscape
Like a
plan,
clusia?
which was part of the plans submitted to the town, which were approved. And they will have to be fully compliant with that plan.
All right, any other questions for?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank you.
March
I may-
15th.
I may see you soon for the 40-year certification.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on, after public comment, over to the approval of the consent agenda minus number 6 and number 7. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, regular agenda items. First reading of ordinance number 2024-01, an ordinance of the Town of Ocean Ridge, Florida, amending the Land Development Code at Chapter 64 zoning, Article 1, District Regulations, Section 64-1, RSF and RSE single-family residential districts. This is to add a provision authorizing a special design exception by the Planning and Zoning Commission for a pitched roof with a minimum pitch of 3 to 12, which is a rise to run, providing for codification, severability, conflicts, and an effective date. Chrissy,
Yes.
would you explain to us why?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. As you may recall, we had a request from a property owner because for a different pitch of a pitched roof than what is authorized in the code. In the code right now, we have two roofing styles. You can either have a pitched roof that has the minimum pitch of 4 to 12, run to rise, or you can have less than that, which is then a flat roof under our code. The flat roof has to be surrounded by a parapet. And as you may recall, back in, I think it was 2022, we started the conversation in 21, we allowed for now flat roofs in residential single-family and residential single-family estate homes. So this request was to allow for a pitched roof with a minimum pitch of 312, and the specific request was a specific design for sort of a ranch style with that less of a pitch, and obviously without the parapet. So planning and zoning, it was discussed, and the town's planner brought back the recommended language to allow for it to be approved by special exception through the planning and zoning design criteria when that project comes in for development review. And if it meets the design criteria, they could approve by special exception the less of a pitch, minimum pitch being 3 to 12. So then what this does to the code is it allows a pitch roof with a minimum of 4 to 12. It would allow a minimum pitch of 3 to 12 if approved by planning and zoning by special exception. Otherwise, anything less than 412 is considered a flat roof, and it must have a parapet.
Thank you. Commissioner
welcome.
Hutchins, you're on the planning and zoning for a long time. Do you have anything to add?
I think that when I was still on that commission, we were in favor of this. It's a different look, but people should be entitled to the look they like, in my mind. And I think homes built like this, we saw some examples, would really be worthwhile. So that's why we brought it forward when I was on P&Z.
So this is in a rendition of, oh, actually, the one on the left, or my left, is 312, on the right is 412?
Yeah.
Kelly?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and if you see where the pink line is on the left, which is a little difficult to see.
I was
you
gonna
can-
say, my x-ray, my vision,
you
Superman
can-
vision's not picking up the pink line there. But is there a pink line?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
pink
on
there's
your
a
screen.
pink line
Oh, yeah.
Look here,
that gives you a comparison.
Oh, I see it, okay.
you can go down bottom on your screen. See it.
So the pink line on the left shows what a 412 would be versus the 312 in the 312 rendering.
Okay. Public comment regarding 312 pitch. Mr. Arsali.
Nicholas Arsali, 6017 Old Ocean. I don't believe really this is a good idea to have a 312. You're making the roof a lot, I mean, parapet with a flat roof, at least it makes it still high and everything. But when you have an 8-foot ceiling or so, I'm sure nobody do it today, but if somebody wants to do it, then you're talking about having a lot of flat roof, like the old houses in Del Rey and West Palm, which is almost like flat. The 312 is it's a 1 foot lower, and it makes the, so that's my comment for what's worth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment regarding this issue? All right, headed back to the commission. Any other discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When originally I read this, I was dead set against it, because I think we've once again, P&Z has stumbled into this area. You're gonna be able to go down to 3-foot pitch, but you can't go to 0. and you gotta have parapets. So originally, I was gonna be a strong no on this, but I understand there's a construction project about to start that needs this exception to accomplish this, but I think we should add this to the April, was it 19th?
8th.
8th P and Z meeting
Yep.
with the board. The parapets add to a bulky presence, and the background on this is the reason why we didn't want flat roofs and we pitched the roofs was so people couldn't put decks to overlook their neighbor. So instead of attacking the deck problem, we've attacked a pitch problem to prevent the decks. Whereas if somebody has, I believe it's 14 feet, if their roof is at 14 feet, they're allowed to have a deck. But now they can't have a flat roof. So I think we ought to address the deck voyeurism into the neighbor's yard and stop all this nonsense about what the pitch of the roof can be and how a roof cannot be flat. I think that should be a main discussion point at the April 8th meeting, because the world has changed. This was originally put in place by the old P&Z, and then the old P&Z started getting requests for flat roofs, and some of them were involved in architecture and construction, so they changed their minds and went to flatter roofs. But then they came up with a parapet idea. So I think we ought to take a whole look at this entire roof situation in Ocean Ridge, and come to a conclusion is much simpler. We're not addressing the problem. We're pitching the roof to stop the voyeurism into the neighbor's yard, and we don't have anything in there about putting up a wall, putting up some kind of landscaping, putting up something so you can have your deck, but you're not looking into the neighbor's yard. For instance, 6273 has an enormous roof on the ocean. But what they've done is they've taken the wire cable and they've made their deck in the center of this enormous roof so you can't see down into the various neighbors' yards. So I guess I'm a fan of this one because it's getting in the right direction, but then we need to overhaul this whole flat roof situation.
All right, so
Can I
bottom
speak to-
line is you're in favor of the ordinance for now? and
Just
then
to help out this homeowner.
Okay.
So when the whole flat roof ordinance, you remember, when they went back and forth on this, it still hasn't been codified, so you look in the code, it's confusing. But no longer under what it was ordinance 2022-09. Under that ordinance, you would not be able to do that on 6273 now. Okay, you cannot build usable land area above 14 feet over a second floor. You can only build it over a first floor when you're entering from bedrooms on the second floor. So, and then a flat roof, as different from the usable flat roof area, a flat roof is a pitched roof with a parapet that's less than 4 and 12. So this is allowing a 3 and 12 with no parapet, and I think it favorably reduces the impression of massing. You know, when you're looking at a house from the street with a flat roof, what you're looking at is the parapet, and the pitched roof is beneath that. So what this is asking, it's basically over a first floor to have a 3 and 12 pitch
Right, but
without a parapet.
if a homeowner had a deck higher up and they couldn't see down on neighbors, would we care? That's what should be discussed at the April 8th meeting.
Well, 6273, they would argue that you can't see into the neighbors, but it's on top of the second floor.
Right, but you
And-
can't see into the neighbors.
But
Well-
I think the ordinance.
But it's an April
The
8th
intention of the
discussion.
ordinance was to not allow that.
All right.
So, anyway,
So that is a meat and potatoes discussion on the 8th.
yes,
Okay.
it's on the list.
All right. So anybody make a motion? What's the flavor of the commission? I
We
did
had it.
public comment and you missed it, Terry. Is there a motion on the floor? Somebody wanna make a motion?
I move that we vote in favor of ordinance 2401.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other commissioner discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Remember, it is the first reading.
Yeah.
First reading, so you have a
Okay.
chance again. Well, no, we're moving on.
I'll talk to you after.
Talk, yeah.
You interrupted me, I'm gonna interrupt you.
Oh, I interrupted you to help you.
Steve.
Different rules.
All right, moving on to number 7. Steve, you want to bring us up to date on your concerns?
Yeah, I guess I need the police chief to help me here. So the authorization of security cameras and door entry system upgrade, maybe you could mention a little bit about the system and what it does for Town Hall?
The system we currently have is original to the building, most of it. It's analog system. We, tell homeowners to upgrade their security system and camera system. We have a very antiquated system. It has very new features and can cover more area in our parking lot and in the common areas, and it's a new door entry system. It, facial recognition, clothing recognition, we can tie this to, there's been talk of people wanting security cameras town-owned in certain areas of the town, and this is an expandable system. We can monitor this from our commo center, and these companies can expand this system to deploy it anywhere in town for a live camera.
Great, so.
I got 3 quotes. And,
Yep. I don't have a problem with approving this, but as people who have been in meetings know, my pet peeve is the bulletproof glass in the lobby. And now, since our new deputy town clerk has come in, she opens the window, so it's no longer bulletproof all the way across. So there's like a 2.5, I think it's 2.5 feet window where you can actually communicate with somebody on staff. One little side note to Lynn, no one sits in front of that opening. The town deputy clerk is about 10 feet to the left, and then Susan sits 4 feet to the right. So I would suggest that somebody sit in front of the open window.
There are under-counter cabinets that make that impossible.
Move
You'd have to tear out the entire counter.
It's like we open the window so there's better communication with the residents, but a resident goes to the window and there's no one there. So I would move the cabinet, put the person in front of the window. But that's just a tangent. So my point is, you have the ability now to have a clicker at the front door. In other words, we could install as part of this system a front door clicker.
It'll be on the police side.
No, but at this front door.
They
the main
can
door.
do that.
Pardon?
That's not, we didn't have that
But
in
we
this quote.
could with all this electronics coming in. So that's my point. Is it time that we discuss this bulletproof glass, lessening it, maybe taking out another panel? Originally, when we got to opening the window, it was baby steps. So I think we're ready for the next baby step. But I genuinely want to know what the public thinks about a door clicker like they have in Gulfstream and Manalapan. So you go up to the door, you push a button, and Katrina or Susan lets you in.
I was just going to comment that Gulfstream does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not unfriendly, just
No,
you
it's
wave.
not unfriendly.
They wave and
It's
they
not.
beep.
And then that allows the staff to feel safe because they can look and say, oh, that's Terry, let's open the door.
No, they probably say no.
No, you're right.
You're wrong about
But if
that,
it's
Steve.
somebody else, maybe if there's somebody that frightens them, then they don't open the door. And that allows us to have a much better communication between the staff and the residents without yelling through bulletproof glass. And I would commend Katrina for leaving that window open. I don't know. Well, no, when I brought this up, the town staff keeps on bringing up, they're worried about safety. So once you hear the word safety, you're kind of stuck, because you can only be wrong, right? So now we have this door ability, which provides the safety, and we can once again have residents walk into town hall and communicate easily and pass papers easily with town staff.
Okay, so what, I guess, the direction would be, would have the chief look into a system such as you're putting into the dispatch.
I can ask for technology to lock that door remotely, sure. There are CJIS requirements too that we have to abide by with our servers and dispatch access. I don't know if we'll have to close off a doorway. If we get rid of the glass, they can access.
But Jeff solved that problem last year. Remember, you on a piece of paper you drew out where to put the door?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
So,
doable.
What I would suggest is that you look into how we would do that
Sure.
and bring it back to the next meeting for us.
By the way, do all the commissioners agree we should look into it?
Absolutely. Well, it's a
Yeah.
consensus?
Well, if you just want a quote on that, yeah, you want me to bring it back to next commission, that's fine. I mean, do you want me to add on to?
No, we're gonna approve,
Okay.
well, we probably are gonna approve the
Right.
item that's on the agenda, but we wanted to, or Steve wanted to bring it up to see what you could see about doing what other municipalities have done.
Sure.
Regarding the entrance to the thing and being able to remove some of that bulletproof 3-inch
Precisely.
glass.
Sure.
And would that not make sense to be a project to include in the budget? Because Steve has talked about reconfiguring the countertop and the built-in cabinets that are underneath.
Absolutely, it would be, that's what I'm saying, I've looked into your section of it, and then you would look into our section of it, because we start the budget in April. So that'd be something for next year's budget. But at least start looking into it for us.
The actual camera system came in under what I budgeted for.
Mhm.
And if there's room, to have that door a clicker where it's locked, it might be feasible.
Well,
to do.
bring it back and
Yeah,
let's
sure.
see what the costs are. All right?
Sure.
Lynn? Everybody in agreement?
Yeah, so what do we do since we
Make a
moved it?
motion
Make a motion that we authorize the security camera and door entry system upgrades and also investigate additional remote door opening, and reconfiguration of the bulletproof glass.
Is that your motion?
Yeah.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, public comment. Almost missed it.
Carol Bessler, 5906 Old Ocean. I was just wondering if there would be a possibility to leave that open. A lot of groups use Town Hall in the evening. Would somebody have to sit behind the desk to click everybody in? Or is there a way to let the public still continue to use the Town Hall without having to sit behind the desk and click
We'd
everybody
have
in?
to find out the capability of the door, if we could disable the clicker and.
Right.
But you can't have the public in this building unless the police are in the building, right?
Well, no, they
No.
have access to this community room.
Right.
They have the book club and events.
But doesn't
They
somebody
don't have access
from
to
town
it.
staff or the police force have to be in the building?
No.
No.
No, because
No.
this door is
Really?
locked
Really?
over here.
No, because this door's locked.
And they have the glass.
But they let us
They
in,
didn't have the
right?
glass, they
They
can
let
hop
in-
over the
they
counter
let us
and then
in,
go
but
through the door.
And now you
If
see
every
why, once
person
you
that
look
comes
into
in
it,
has to
so
be
you can see
clicked
all the
in.
little different things that are involved.
Yeah.
It's
You'll
kind
get
of
a
like-
clicker.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We would also have to consider, not just for the groups in the evening and on the weekends, but having the door unlocked for an entire day on election days would be a requirement too, because we can't not
I'm
have people
sure
come
it
and
has the
go
capabilities.
regularly then.
Well, you can always prop the door open on those days. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, just for clarification, with the motion, it seemed like we're approving the quote that the chief got initially. Would it be under consideration to perhaps put that quote on hold till we really took a look at the entire scope of the project and perhaps get it rebid based on that? Or does the commission want the chief to proceed with the quote he has as now?
I would rather get the one project myself. I'd rather have that one project done and completed. That's for the dispatch side. And then this is a whole different issue and work product that we're gonna have to actually approve at the next budget.
Okay.
Because we'll have to put the money in it.
Thank you.
All right, one more public
Still
comment?
on public comment, right?
Yep.
I just wanted to be sure that we talked about this being such a great paradise and a lovely community and friendly. Don't do anything that's going to be too unfriendly. If I'm in a wheelchair and I come up and have to push that button, then I got to wait for someone to click the door open. I mean, why have the handicap? It took me forever to get the doors changed and the button installed for handicap, even though I'm not in a wheelchair. So try to make it friendly, whatever you come up with. User-friendly.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, so back to the commission. Anything, any other discussion?
Chrissy, does it need a number on what we just voted on?
No, I just wanted to be
Clear,
clear on the direction to staff in terms of go forward with the project that we've got bid and then come back with additional information on other things.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, I think we got a motion and a second.
Yeah, I know, so say any other discussion? Nope. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Commissioner Ayala.
Okay, I think this is going to be pretty easy. I would break it into two parts. The first one is very similar to what's in item 6. I don't know if I'm doing this right. in item 6. The only thing I would like is to make a motion that rather than, in the recommendation as stipulated, it says we'll either leave 1.5 million or $1 million in the account. And I think Lynn and I have talked about it. I think $1 million is the right way to go with that. But as written, it doesn't specify. So we just wanted to make sure that the commissioners are clear that it's $1 million. And it also doesn't say when we would make the transfer. So I would just like to move that we agree that our first move is that we move everything except for $1 million. So that would be about 12.1 million over into the higher yielding accounts. And then that we do that by close of business Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever, so that we move with haste, since it's, costing us some money every day that we don't do it. So that's the first motion I would make.
So what you're saying is instead of holding back the 1.5, hold back only 1 million?
Yeah, the original reason for holding back the 1.5 is because our bank said if you don't have $1.5 million, unless you have at least $1.5 million, we won't waive fees. I mean, but the fees are, a few $100 a month. So what we earn by having $1 million instead of $1.5 million way outweighs the fees. So there's no reason to keep $1.5 million. And it looks like, I think Lynn and I would agree that the numbers look like it's clear we don't have to have more than $1 million in cash. And then my second, motion is going to be about looking at whether it should be $1 million or maybe even less than that. But so the first one is just amend this to say move everything but $1 million and do it with haste over the next couple of days.
And your second thing?
So the second thing I would say is I would like to work with Lynn and her team over the coming month to figure out.
But is this part of your commissioner comment later?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to stick with the.
Yeah, so for this one, I would just keep it in the first piece. So, I think you agree with that, right?
Yeah, I would clarify, this is keeping $1 million in general operating and $10,000 in our capital checking account, so that we don't end up closing that account. We can still pay capital projects by transferring into there.
So the question is, how much do we earn on $500,000 in the other vehicle? Do we earn more than $250 a month?
1%. Yeah, well, we were earning 1%, and now we're earning 5.6%, so it's $75,000 a year. Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Or, I'm doing it in my head, but
Yeah.
it's about that.
Fine.
We'll make 10 or 15 times as much.
Okay, so the motion would be then to approve the transfer of funds, but holding back only 1 million, not 1.5 million. Is that the consensus?
I think
It's
that's second.
25,000, right, 5%.
5%.
So that's your motion?
Sorry.
Yes, that's mine.
Okay.
That's mine.
Your second, Dave?
I'm a second.
Public comment?
It's
Thank you.
500,000 times.
All right, back to the commission. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, now on to our committee reports. Lynn?
One moment. I've got a few things that I gotta remember to talk about. All right. I won't go over the general manager's report. I do appreciate everyone's patience with us while we have transitioned the finance software. I wanted to give an update on our streetlights, and there is some information in the packet about options. I've spoken to FP&L, and we have two different sets of streetlights. We have 154 streetlights that are owned and maintained by FP&L, and the town pays just the electrical cost and a lease cost for them. Then we have 47 streetlights solely on East Ocean Avenue that the town owns, the town maintains, and we only pay an energy cost to FP&L for. So addressing first, high-pressure sodium lights are no longer available. FP&L has completely run out of them. They have been discontinued as an option anywhere, and so the town needs to transition our street lights to LED. That's the only option that's available. Now, we have a choice of doing it all as a project and working with FP&L, and they will go through, schedule the project, and do all of those 154 lights at the same time, or based on concerns that the commission had with switching to LED a couple of years ago, they would only transition the lights as they have issues, whether they burn out, whether they're broken, whether there's electrical wiring, things like that. Right now, we have several lights throughout the entire community that are high-pressure sodium that are non-functional. If we don't move forward with a project on them, FP&L will start coming in and changing those. And when they change them, it's not just changing a bulb, they have to change the actual fixture. And the fixtures that they have now look different than the fixtures that are there. So you're going to have different looking lights, not just how bright they are or what the color looks like, but the actual fixture itself. Uniformity, I think, is something we want. We like the character of the community. We like things to look nice, and having things look hobnobby, to where you've got 2 of the new fixtures and then 5 of the old fixtures, then another new fixture, and especially along Old Ocean, will not lead to the character that we want in the community. We do have some options in terms of what the fixtures look like. My recommendation is that we go with what is called the ATB2 Turtle Friendly, which is the first one in the top left. It is an amber light. We would put those along Old Ocean. It also has a shield to prevent light from going out onto the beach area. And then in the remaining part of the community, we would do what is called the regular roadway lights, which are the top right of the corner.
5,000 lumens?
They start at 5,000, but they've told me that they can get them down to 3,000.
Oh, really?
They can get them down to 3,000 lumens. And we would also work with FP&L, as I know that there is concerns that the street lights shine into people's homes throughout the community, to shield the street lights either on the back if that's what is going to be the issue, or on the north or the south side, or the east or the west side, depending on how the light is facing, to ensure that we don't have any bleed over into people's homes from the street lights with the new LED. Kelly, can you go to the picture of the different, next, where we've got the examples of the lighting?
So the ATB2 are just, you're proposing those for Old Ocean?
For as an amber, yes. We could potentially do what they call the AEL, which appears to be an ATB2 similar light that does not have, it's not amber. It doesn't say in here what the lumens are on it, so we can talk to FP&L about getting the same fixtures for both Old Ocean and the rest of the community, just not doing the amber. I did have them do a cost estimate with the conversion for these 154, the new lease price, and the energy cost for all 154. We will save, after the project is done, approximately $150 a month, even after we've paid everything, based on what we're paying on energy and lease right now for the high-pressure sodium. I asked them to quote amber throughout the community, because we are a turtle-friendly community. If we did the amber lights to replace all 154, our cost would go from just shy of $1,600 a month to just over $3,000 a month. So we don't want to do amber throughout the entire community, because obviously that significantly increases the cost. But we should be able to do, I think, make sure, yes, they quoted the roadway lights in the option where it's the savings of about $150. So,
Lynn, I don't remember when we talked about this in our meeting, is your recommendation 3,000 or 4,000 Kelvin? Because if I understand it right, you can't adjust it. Once you buy them, they are whatever you buy.
right. My recommendation would be to at least go with the 4,000 if we can. I know that, and this shows, you can see how much clearer that the 4,000 is than our current high-pressure sodium for the police department. It's clearer again for the 3,000 Kelvin. You can see much more detail on the street, although obviously they're not in the exact same location. And again, we will do shielding with them on the back to make sure that we're not shining into anyone's homes.
Well, can we mix and match? I mean, you could do the police department at 4,000 and then, I mean, because the lower the Kelvin, I mean, the light, the cooler the light. I mean, I don't want to have a shopping mall light in front of my house.
Did
for crying out
they
loud.
offer any, like, can we go on a field trip and go see them on our own? Just if,
She did not give me the locations. I can get a hold of them. And
That
if
might
we
be
move
helpful.
forward, if the commission authorizes moving forward, we don't have to finalize all the details of which exact fixtures we're going to do, which exact poles, and how many kelvins tonight. It would just be reaching out to FPNL again tomorrow and say, yes, we want to do the conversion. All right, now their team and the town sits down and starts planning the project.
So you just want consensus from us to move ahead forward with FPL on the lease program?
Yes, understanding that they are going to be LED lights.
How many lights on Old Ocean? Because those are at
47.
Amber. 47, I find that hard to believe.
40, I thought
No,
44, right?
let's
Plus
see.
the
That's what it
bridge.
says on the thing, 47.
Trying to think.
That seems impossible.
No, there's 47 on East Ocean.
East
40.
Ocean.
There are
East
47 lights
Old
on
Ocean
East.
Oh, Old
probably has
Ocean.
8.
On
Yeah.
Old Ocean,
8-ish.
What does it matter? You're gonna put the
Because
turtle lights on them
you got
anyway.
the turtle light, right, the shields, and the shields, and it's an amber,
Right.
turtle-friendly amber ATP too.
That's DEP makes you do that.
Right. And as far as this possibility that the roadway one, the one you're recommending for the rest of the town, can be 3,000 lumens, I think we need that will, absolutely can be. It's not a might situation. If it has to stay at 5.
it's going to come down to what fixture we select, I believe, on the 3,000 versus the 4,000. I presume that you guys are all going to want, based on your discussion, the 3,000 at least for the amber. You're going to want them to be a 3,000 Kelvin?
The ones on Old Ocean? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. certainly. The lowest you can go.
And the same with up and down the streets. I mean, in the sense of the separate side streets where everybody's living on. And maybe the main streets you
Right.
have a little brighter, and around Town Hall they're a little brighter, but you want the lowest Kelvin you can outside your
And
front door.
we can work with them on that to where maybe Ocean Avenue has a brighter light because it's a state highway. It may have minimum lighting requirements. But on the side streets, anywhere else, we could go with the lower.
So
True, but
A1A.
you also have to
A1A,
consider, you
Ocean
have a lot
Boulevard.
of, well, also, wait a minute, you have homes up and down there, brand-new homes up and down.
And that's why we would
And
have the
again, you're gonna
shields.
put out something that's gonna be, but there's 44 streetlights on that. Do we really even need 44 streetlights?
That's when they come through and do their photometric study to determine exactly how many with the new lights.
Okay, so let's do this. It's really two separate issues. You got the Ocean 44 lights, and they have all the rest of the lights in town. So the consensus is gonna be first to give you the go-ahead to
And
get the
on
FPL
the
for all the rest of the
154.
ones that FPL owns,
Right,
right?
So the 44, just to be specific, East Ocean.
Correct.
and it's 47.
40
So,
Well, it says
Says
44.
with
44.
There's 44 right
154.
here, 44 Ocean
Oh,
Ridge
it should say
streetlights.
47, I'm sorry.
All right,
I think you're gonna be amazed how
Old
few streetlights
Ocean.
are in town, other than A1A.
that says 154.
Yes.
It's, I don't believe these numbers.
That's what we're paying for right now, Steve. They have a list.
Where are
with-
they?
They have a
Other than
list with every
A1A?
They're
location.
everywhere.
I
You
can
just
send you
never see them.
the,
Because a lot of them are out. That's why, they're out. You don't see what they are, you don't see they're on.
Our entire neighborhood has one streetlight.
I can send you the
Okay,
list
so anyway, so you have consensus now to
to move forward,
Forward.
and we'll come back for final approval of which lights are going where.
And whether it's 3 or 4.
Right,
Right.
that would be which
Or-
light, because it's whether we're ordering a 3,000, a 4,000, a roadway, a
Right.
turtle-friendly amber.
Got it.
So,
But the lights that'll be on Old Ocean will be different than the rest of the town.
They could be, because it's looking like it's the same fixtures allowed in non-amber. So we may try to have them look identical, just not being what they call an amber turtle-friendly fixture.
Sounds good. All right.
Then the second issue is the lights along East Ocean. Right now, there are at least 9 locations where there should be a light where the head is missing. That includes the lights on the bridge. The fixtures have fallen off, they've rusted off. In the last windstorm, we had 2 more fixtures that rusted and fell off in the windstorm. makes for not only a danger, but obviously not very well lit and safe. Those we would be converting to FPNL owning. Now, before we can do that, they need us to provide them with information. The first step is a photometric study to determine if we still need 47 streetlights along there with the new LED versus high-pressure sodium. I've already reached out to Ingenuity, and they have contacted a lighting engineer to get a cost on that study. Once we have that, FPNL needs to know the type and length of each pole, the exact location on a site map, whether we want the lights to be powered by underground conduit or overhead wiring. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. We've already got underground, why would we go overhead? The bracket length for each fixture, so how far we want it to stick out from the pole. The options are 2 foot, 6 foot, 8 foot, or 12, and the exact fixture we want. There are fixtures that are very similar to the ones that we have currently.
Well, first, aren't we getting, isn't this something we need to get a price on from them and everything else?
Well,
before
until we
start
get the
fixing it?
photometric and give them all of this information, they won't be able to give us an idea of the cost. So
So you're saying we
tonight-
need to pick out a fixture and the length of the
No.
pole right now? or-
Tonight, I'm asking on this portion of the project to authorize me up to $10,000, which is my spending authority for the photometric study, which is the first phase of handling the lights on East Ocean. Then, now that you guys have an opportunity to see what the lights look like, the public has an opportunity, then we will start discussing what kind of poles we want. And we can discuss that during my comments next month, what we want the fixture to look like. And
That's gonna be like 2 or
how
3
far we
meetings
want the
type
brackets
thing.
to hang out.
Fix
And
it.
that may be
But aren't
affected
we
by the
also
photometric.
authorizing you to tell them, yes, we want you to take over these poles, and we will lease them from you? And all the decisions
Well,
will
they
be.
won't-
That decision won't be made until we provide them
photometric
with,
study.
with all of this information so that they can give us a cost.
All right.
Okay.
So basically, you want us, do we have to vote on that for,
It's
yeah,
only
we're gonna have to
10
vote on that
it's
to give you the
10,000.
authorized money spent, so.
Yes.
I'm a little lost.
Okay.
Boy, that's no thing.
It's a lot of information because it's two
On
projects.
not Old Ocean, Ocean Avenue, Banana Boat Bridge Road.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. I'll go count the poles later, but we are responsible for buying new poles and they
If we-
don't have, or are we just doing fixtures?
If we transition to FPNL, they will take over everything. They will own
Will
the
they
poles,
take
they will
over
own.
the cost of installing all
Yes.
this
Yes,
stuff?
yes,
Okay.
they will come in
It's
and
no
demo
Right,
the
but we have
old
to give
ones,
them
put in new
the
ones.
information first for them to give us a
The
cost.
study,
And it's
And it-
actually gonna be less poles because you're increasing the lumens.
right.
So it'll probably be a lot less
That's
poles.
what the
And in the
photometric
rest
study
of
will
town,
show.
Old Ocean, the fixtures just go on the current poles?
Yes,
Okay.
because FPNL already owns them.
Okay, so is there a motion to authorize the town manager to do the photometric study and to complete the information FPL needs?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Public comment?
The original utility franchise was Bell South.
That's correct.
Then AT&T came in and bought that or absorbed that franchise. On Harbor Drive South, during one of the hurricanes, they finally came and replaced one of the poles and left the other pole tied with a rope.
Oh, God.
Still there,
No, still
next
there.
to Tom Perry's house, who has called and talked to Lynn and talked to everybody in the world, and FP&L won't remove the pole because it belongs to AT&T. So someone needs to contact with AT&T and get that pole out of there because it's going to come down. It's tied with a piece of rope, a ribbon. And the line from Tropical on Old Ocean north fails constantly. It's an underground cable. The people come in and fix the fixtures at the junction. They never replace the entire cable. The wire goes across the street from Tropical to Old Ocean, goes underground and goes north. And they never replace it, and it fails all the time. It's right, those lights are not out because of the bulbs, they're out because the cable failed. And that's an FPL project.
Lynn, would you look into that?
I will, but
Thank you.
part of this would be FP&L making sure that the lights are functional. I said
FPL,
Part of the project would
public
be
comment?
making sure that they're functional.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, back to the commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Next thing, Lynn?
Next thing, wanted to give you an update on the East Ocean Avenue project. We sent out a Civic Ready. FDOT will be doing a mill and resurface project, and it is scheduled to start in the January of 2025 and run for 18 months.
18 months.
That is the project schedule they have currently. It's not the final schedule. They're still finalizing things. They say that both directions will not be shut down at any given time, but we wanted to make sure that the public was aware of what they're doing. It also adds a new crosswalk along East Ocean at Marina Village, there by Two Georges and Banana Boat across 6th Avenue. And it will be a pedestrian activated signal.
Oh, boy.
At that crosswalk. So there will be, after this
You're
project
talking
is,
Federal and Ocean?
I'm talking 6th, right there, when you turn into the condos, to the parking lot, to Banana Boat and Two Georges.
Yeah, right there. So
They
you
are
come-
adding a
imagine coming down
crosswalk.
the other way,
Yeah.
so you get the light
But
flash.
plus, there's gonna be an additional 6,500 residents within 5 years. Right
I'm
there.
aware, and I've had
Holy
these
cow.
discussions with FDOT. The current vice mayor of Boynton Beach, that crosswalk was his big push for the residents in his district, and it is going in. We've expressed our extreme concerns about traffic as it heads westbound over the bridge after bridge openings, but FDOT is adamant that it's going in.
I
Okay.
guess I'm confused, why is the crosswalk such a bad, I mean, I often slow down for people who just dart into the road there as you're going toward the bridge going east.
Because it has the potential to, if you've got stragglers crossing, so you've got somebody that activates the signal and they get halfway across, and then somebody else activates the signal and they start across, and then you've got somebody else that activates the signal, you're going to potentially have traffic backed up to and possibly onto the bridge, as well as backed up all the way to Federal and around the corners.
How about the other way, going
Well,
east?
our push buttons don't just automatically change it to walk when you push them, you
Yeah,
have to
usually
wait
there's a
for the
delay, yeah.
lights.
But they're not talking about having a delay because it is pedestrian activated as opposed to intersection signalized.
Has anyone seen one without a delay?
I never,
Well, if DOT says it's going in, isn't it all a moot point?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
okay.
just want
But it-
people to
it
know
does
what's
have a
going
delay.
in and what's gonna happen and the possible construction term.
Okay. Your next thing.
The next item, banking, as several people are aware, we've had some challenges with City National Bank, who is the town's bank. A week ago Friday was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back when we sent our ACH file for payroll on Wednesday, received all the authorizations that it was a go, and everyone woke up on Friday morning and they had not processed our ACH for payroll and no one got paid. Fortunately, Jean and I spent the entire day on Friday working through the issues with the bank, and it was a bank issue. It was not part of the new software. It wasn't anything on this side, and we got payroll authorized, so everyone was paid before the end of business. But that combined with customer service issues, I'm requesting authorization to work with the town attorney to put together a RFP for banking services and seek to identify a new banking partner for the town.
Okay. So you need a consensus from us, or?
I would like consensus from all of you, so that way we can develop the RFP and get it out as soon as possible.
Sounds like there's no choice.
Yeah. You good? Everybody good? All right, there you go. Next.
We've had a lot of talk about these sidewalks throughout town. As most people are aware, they are owned by FDOT. In September of 2022, Ingenuity and the town went out and we identified every area of sidewalk in the community along A1A and other areas that had either a major crack, anything that was considered a safety concern, including lips up to a half-inch spalling through a significant portion of the surface. At one point last year, FDOT had their maintenance contractor send a contractor out, and they repaired several sections of sidewalk, but they did not finish the entire sidewalk. FDOT, at some point last year, had a falling out with the contractor that was replacing the sidewalk and terminated that contractor. As of last week, our Public Works Department has contacted the maintenance contractor, who is Lewis Berger, and they have assured us that the sidewalk contractor will be here in, not this week, but sometime next week to start working on the sidewalks again.
So I have a question. Maybe the town attorney would need to give up. So somebody trips on the A1A sidewalks. I seem to remember, like 4 or 5 years ago, somebody sued the town for tripping on a sidewalk on A1A.
No, that was up at Ocean Avenue. She fell off the side of the sidewalk. Remember, she did her
I think
ankle?
it wasn't A1A. So if a sidewalk on A1A somebody trips on, we're not liable.
No.
Okay. Don't fix it.
Okay,
Well,
what else
we
you got?
can.
So the
That's all I have.
sidewalks are slated to start repairing next week?
As long as the contractor shows up, yep.
All right, and we're gonna check on it like
We're checking on it
All right.
regularly.
hammer calling.
Betty has a question.
Betty, come on up.
This is a thorn in my side. We need a fine for trucks and people parking cars on the sidewalk. Sidewalks, I believe, are about 2 inches of cement. Roads are 4 inches of cement. Cars will break 2 inches of cement. That's why they make the roads 4 inches. And we need to fine people so we have the money to replace the sidewalks when they break them.
So that is a very good point, Betty, because during our meeting, planning and zoning meeting, and with the building department, what we should do is that we should, when you pull a permit and have to cross a sidewalk, you have to take a picture of the sidewalk and submit it with your permit, so that when you get to final inspection, you go out there and the sidewalk's broken, you're responsible.
I like that.
So that way we can, enough with this, running over sidewalks. But some of those, when they replaced those big poles, those trucks broke the sidewalks and they didn't
Yep.
care one bit.
But when Betty, back in July was when I was in touch with the guy from Lewis Berger, and they did a lot of repairs in town, and Billy assures me that they are 4-inch thick slabs of concrete. But the big trucks are gonna break them, and, yeah.
All
But-
right.
And they're on it, so within a couple weeks.
Lynn, you have anything else?
Nope, that's all I have tonight.
Well, thank you, Lynn. That's a lot of information there. Christie?
No report.
Chief?
My report's in your packet. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Well, I want you to tell us about the dogs.
I
then
will.
get 'em on.
I will. We have started a campaign. We had to get through some logistics with the beach, sand, water, with issuing fines for dogs on the beach. We've gone back the old-fashioned way. We're handwriting them. We've wrote 10 fines just in the last 2 weeks. So and I want the public to know, if you don't comply and you don't want to give us your name or sign the paperwork, it's a misdemeanor of the first degree, so it's an arrestable offense because it's a town ordinance. But we've had 10 thus far. I was selected to serve on the board of directors for the Palm Beach County Chiefs Association last month.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations. Why didn't you let us know that last month?
Yeah, I'm the secretary. I don't make good coffee. Correct. We hosted our first resident CPR class in partnership with the Starbright Group, and it was a huge success. Officers Pylon and Glue State received a lot of praise from the public. More classes are in the planning stages. I think at last count, we had 60 people on a wait list for the class. And a big thanks to Ms. Spessler and Ms. Kolb sitting here. They helped out a lot with organizing and scheduling the event. It was a big success. If you see a black Ford Mustang driving around town, it's a Mach-E. It's an electric car. It says Ocean Ridge Police on the side of it, and it's also our community policing and K-9 dash car. You'll see that out in the public. It's black. That was a donated car. It's fully electric. Did not cost the police department a dime. That's it, I guess.
Thank you, Chief. All right, on to the commissioner comments. Commissioner Ajala?
Okay, great. It's Ayla, by the way. Ainer, Ayla. It's pretty easy. I'll write it out in phonetic form for everyone. This is a pretty easy one. I'm just asking the commission, the mayor, the commission, to authorize me to work with Lynn over the coming month to make sure that $1 million, we've just agreed that we're gonna move everything but $1 million into the high yielding account. I'd just like to work with her to figure out what cash flow needs are and see if there's an opportunity for us to capture maybe another $20,000 to $40,000 of interest income without it being a burden on the staff. So we just have to do some calculations on that, and then we'd come back with a recommendation at the next meeting that hopefully Lynn would agree wouldn't put a burden on her staff, just to see if there's some opportunity to make enough money to pay for some of the turtle lights or something.
So what information are you looking for?
I'm looking for you to authorize me to work with Lynn and her team to support me over the next month.
No, I mean the information you're looking for from Lynn, is my question. Is it just regular
What our
budgetary
disbursements are,
answer?
yeah, it comes right out of the financial system and in the banking system. Just what are our cash disbursements every month? How much, we've got daily liquidity in the fund that we'd be transferring the money to, so, I mean, technically you could transfer funds every day. We certainly wouldn't recommend that, but you could potentially draw down, rather than keeping $1 million there, maybe we keep 200,000 there and then transfer money as needed, just so we can capture the extra interest.
Who keeps the books?
It doesn't change anything on the
Well,
books.
I'm just looking at the burden on the staff.
That's
I agree
what we'll come
that
back with.
Daly's insane.
I think it could come down to 1 or 2 transfers a month. That doesn't put any burden on anybody.
Gina and I
Phone
do,
call.
and depending upon the time of the month, the amount of disbursements and largest disbursements vary. We have water bills that are over roughly $250,000, and in a month where we've got water bills and the town hall loan, as well as the drainage loan, as well as roughly, it's 130-some thousand of payroll, plus another 60,000 in benefits and withholdings and things like that. So there are definitely gonna be some months where more than $1 million is needed in that month just to make our regular payments.
That's why we do the analysis. I mean, the answer might be that we leave $1 million.
And
But
what kind of
I
interest
think we should
income are
take
we
a look at
looking
it.
at? I mean,
At least 5.
significant.
Well, it could be 5.6 or whatever is at times whatever we move. So if it was $1 million, it would be 56,000. We're not gonna move the whole $1 million, but it could be, $20,000 to $40,000 that you could capture. If it's too complicated or too much of a burden, we won't do it. Maybe our new banking relationship will provide us with a better yield than the current 1% that city gives us, in which case, then it's even less necessary to do it. But we're just looking for the way to optimize, how we use our money.
Okay, so really what you're looking to do, I mean, in my opinion, is you're looking to establish a policy.
Yeah.
And that's what the commission does. Establishes a policy, and then, once we agree on the policy, then we give it to the town. So you're gonna, with this information, you're gonna bring back to us an idea of this policy.
And one that Lynn would agree is not too burdensome.
Perfect. So
Sound like
it's
a
a
plan?
consensus to
Is there consensus to?
Yep.
have Lynn and Aina work
Aina.
together? I pronounced it right.
You got it.
I did.
Okay?
So,
Lynn,
Are we good?
you
motion?
good?
We need a motion?
I'm fine with that, it's up to the commission.
Okay. Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion or,
No,
Okay.
just a consensus.
okay,
Your turn.
okay.
Commissioner Cassidy, you're up.
So, last week I had the opportunity to go to Tallahassee for legislative action days with the Florida League of Cities. And as many of you know, the league is a very valuable resource for us They support all the 411 municipalities in the state of Florida in protecting our home rule and look out for our best interests. And what we did up there it was fascinating to me because I'd never been there, A, and B, not seen how the whole process works. But there are roughly 2,000 bills that are presented each legislative session by the House and the Senate. Some are companion bills, some not. And then the league goes through them. They have a whole legislative action team, and they call what they think are probably the 600 most important for them to review. They review, and then we develop through our policy committees, and I'm on the Utilities, National Resources, and Public Works, which ones we really want to go up and lobby for and lobby against. And so we were in teams, they called us teams, of the different counties. So it was the Palm Beach County municipal officials, and we had a schedule. Every 15 minutes we go to a rep's office, a senator's office, and we had our talking points of things that we opposed and things that we supported. And one that I'm happy to say was the one that the policy committee I sit on, we had voted unanimously to advocate for a statewide stormwater rule ratification. Basically, the stormwater rules have not been updated in 50 years. And this will put more of a burden on builders, but it is definitely in the best interest of a town like ours where we do have stormwater problems. So that's looking good in the legislature right now. Things we were kind of advocating against were they're talking about increasing the homestead property tax exemption. Now, there's a House bill, there's no companion bill, so I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but we were grateful to our representative. He voted against this. It also provided for a compounding increase in that exemption going forward, which for us not as big a deal, but for some cities like Riviera Beach, $1.5 million a year. For Palm Beach Gardens, it's $2.5 million a year. There was also an issue about sovereign immunity. They're looking to double the caps, both on the personal caps and the per incident caps, which for a lot of municipalities would be a huge burden. Again, not our small town as much, but anyway, just it's nice to know that there is such a great organization there that is really looking out for our best interests, and I'm really happy to be part of that and, you know, advocating for the community. So, happy
Thank
to
you.
answer any questions.
Any questions for Carol?
No, thanks for doing that.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else? Everybody good? Well, I hope everybody had a wonderful time tonight.
Information before you adjourn?
Public comments over, Terry?
Yeah.
You can wait till next, we can't wait for you to come next week or next month, and you can tell us all about it. But thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Terry, you can tell me.
Going in to see you, and I was not.
Yeah, the
given
property thing?
those Lighting.
Who?